Hey, Brand, let me ask you a question, man. Is the American education getting better or worse?
Let's talk about this idea of education, right?
Yeah.
Just education.
Yeah.
Very broad idea. But for the majority of us, most people equate education to institutionalized education, right?
Yeah.
Schools.
Mhm.
I heard somewhere there are three educations in life: school,
Mhm.
from our parents at home, education in life, right?
Mhm.
So, my opinion is with this proliferation of technology, things being more accessible, just this direction moving and more critical thinking,
Yeah.
I think right now education is this is a great time in terms of education and learning. It's more robust now. It's more critical
1000%.
thinking, opinion based,
Mhm.
critical thinking.
Mhm.
You could go on social media and you could get these different perspectives on one thing, right?
Mhm.
It's exciting. Education is definitely different.
I'm laughing because you said it's much more robust, right? We think education just institutionalized, public schools, private schools, charter schools, learning from books. I was on TikTok the other day and I found out that I was using seasonings incorrectly my entire life. So, seasoning, when I use it, I pour it on my chicken or whatever I'm going to eat, correct, right?
Mm-hmm.
I found out that the top, you have to twist it so it comes out a lot more fluidly. All them years that I've been struggling, and then sometimes I would take the top off and I would dump the entire seasoning on the chicken, everything would just spill over. I've been using it incorrectly. That's just a microcosm of what you just mentioned, where education is abound. It's on TikTok, it's on YouTube. My partner the other week asked me to fix the plumbing down there. I have no idea how to use my hands. I'm not dexterous when it comes to plumbing and any electricity. I went on YouTube. All I looked up was, how do I fix the plumbing underneath my toilet? I got it done.
Oh, that's a great
I got
point.
it done.
When I echo your sentiments in terms of life education, now you can go on YouTube and find a way to do something.
Yeah.
Right? You can go on social media as opposed to maybe 30, 40 years or maybe even 20 years ago where technology wasn't as pervasive.
Yeah.
Right? Back then, you may have had to go to somebody and ask somebody who's considered an expert, and they may give you the wrong.
That's true.
Right? Because their life education had to do with maybe their parents. I'll give you a quick anecdote, right? Somebody I knew, I was young, my friend's grandfather, he made eggs and he put milk in it, right? So I ate it and I'm like, wow. I asked him why he put milk in it. He couldn't really give me an explanation.
Sure.
It was maybe generational. And you know how we think of like how information kind of gets filtered and information travels.
Yeah.
He had no idea. He couldn't really elaborate. He couldn't expound upon what's the importance of why it was done.
Yeah.
When I think of education and just information, sometimes we don't even know why something's get done. And sometimes there's no benefit to it or any value. But we do it.
So I think there's an issue there. The issue that lies there is that we should be able to know and articulate why we do certain things. For him, the person you speak of, him not knowing why he put the milk in there, what it does to the eggs, I could liken that to education. Speaking through an English lens, why do you need to start a topic sentence with a sentence type and a positive or subordinating conjunction? Why do you need to use transition words within your paragraph? It's important when we are teaching and giving instruction. If I'm going to teach my students something, I need to give them the reason why they are learning this. So not being able to articulate and just clearly assert why I'm putting milk in the eggs, I think that is a larger issue that we need to recognize.
How important is resources to education?
Coming from the trenches, if you will, at Title I school, I was lucky to just have a working projector. When I say projector, I mean maybe a smart board. It was like pulling teeth trying to get one of those in my classroom. I was very limited with some of the lessons I could use. We didn't have a one-to-one in the Title I school. What a one-to-one is, everybody, is when every student is given some sort of iPad or iMac that you can take home. And some people are probably watching this like, wow, that really happens in some districts? Yes, it does. The district I'm currently in right now, we have a one-to-one. I have an iPad, I have an iMac, I have a smart board, and I have a desktop. I love it.
This integration of technology, iPads and these sort of things, is making things more creative. When it comes to education, every school doesn't have access to that.
It's not equally funded, and I think that's one of the bigger issues, how taxpayers fund the school districts, public schools.
So what you're saying is, all comes down to the money, and it all comes down. You remember that? I think that was Deion Sanders. Yeah, so it comes down to the money, right?
Deion Sanders.
Yeah,
that's a great point.
Even educate. Yeah.
Where he at right now? He went to Colorado, man. He said, "Listen, I gotta do what I gotta do." It is the funds. If you have the funds, you're going to retain teachers a lot longer. You're going to create a culture of positivity and people who want to be there. And these people are going to be the leaders that students ultimately are seeing on a daily basis and putting their all and their effort into giving their best instruction. It's also the students who have to meet you halfway. But I think it does begin with being equally funded, man.
Sean, we've been, covering Title I. Title I, for the viewers out there, Title I school is basically in a what's considered under-resourced school district. They throw the term poverty around, just like I said, under-resourced. I think that's the opportune word. So it needs a little more funding from the state to
level the playing field, if you will, right, with the other school districts around who might not be considered Title I.
That plays a major role because in certain Title I schools, there's not as much technology. We're living in a creative era right now. Social media is driving this sort of creative. You could just chop and you could make videos. You could use an iPad in class. This is a technological world.
Yes, it is.
And being in the Northeast, let me go into this. Just hearing what's going on in other states, in other parts of the country. In those parts, the perception might be like, maybe not. What I feel from the Northeast, the New York, Westchester, Connecticut area, this is a great time in education for teachers being more creative, for students to be more creative, to express themselves, express how they feel. When I was coming up in school, it was all about memorization. It was memorizing facts. You had to go into the library. Remember you went to the library? You had to look for about an hour to find the proper book. Absolutely. The library. But now you can go on Google. You can hear testimonials from people in other states. It's a great time in education.
Information is so abound, and like you said, it's at the tip of our fingers. I think there also lies an issue because it could be so transient.
You said transient. What is transient?
That's it. I like that. Transient just basically means that as fast as it comes, it goes. The fact that you could just look up, hey, who was the 15th president? Google or Alexa or Siri, and then they let you know who the 15th president was. I have no idea, but I could Google it right now. I will know. I'll just know for that minute. Back in the days, there were some things where some concepts and some ideas and some random facts that was drilled down and that you had to drill home. Why? Why do we need to know those things? Why do we need to know those things? Well, like you said.
Say it again. Why? I was always confounded, right? I was perplexed. Why do I need to know the capital of Kansas when I was growing up? Do you understand what I'm saying? I was always confused why we need to know these capitals, right? But now I'm older and I'm in education. I understand why. Geographic, because you always hear we teach skills, and it's about the skill. It's about
I like that.
It's about introducing the kids to these sort of things, get them thinking. So I understand why, but at the same time, education now it's an integration of you got these facts, right? But also you're able to infer and deduce and come up with your own thinking behind, okay, what is the difference between, compare and contrast education in Kansas, Topeka, and education in New York?
That's a great point, Brand. So what you just did, I didn't receive that. I could tell that you were before this, I thought Brandon was possibly a subpar teacher, but I think you're an awesome educator because that's exactly where your objective would have to say.
Hey, I'm not awesome educator. I'm not gonna lie to you, but
dude, you would have to communicate that to your students. I didn't receive that. Miss So-and-so, I don't know any of my teachers' names. Miss Prince, why do I need to know what the capital of Kansas is? Because you need to know. It's going to be on the quiz.
Yeah, and
that was the pervasive response between all of my teachers growing up in elementary and middle school.
You need to know this. It's like, no, this.
It's I think it's analogous to a parent saying because I said so.
Hold on.
I think that's a little unfair.
Hold on. Analogous. Sean's ELA teacher is using how many syllables? 4 syllables. Analogous.
Listen. It's a really good
word. What is the
word.
meaning of analogous?
Hold on. Let me just check something out real quick, Brand. What is the capital? Hey Siri. What is the capital of Kansas?
Topeka is the capital of Kansas.
Wow. Great illustration there of how. Find out what is the definition of analogous.
Okay.
This is education.
Hey Siri, what is the definition of the term analogous?
Analogous means comparable in certain respects, typically in a way which makes clearer the nature of the things compared.
So going back to my example.
That definition confused me even more.
So basically going back to that example.
So let's hold on. You know what we could do? As teachers, when I say we're responsible for teaching skills, context clues. Now what we're teaching, education now is teaching kids. Teaching kids how to find things out. Context clues. You use clues of what's being said to figure out the word. That's the beauty of education now. We're teaching skills. How do you, hold on. Topeka, Kansas, as opposed to what is the capital of Kansas? It says, what is the best way to get to Topeka, Kansas driving from X, Y, and Z? How many miles per hour do I have to drive if X, Y, and Z? Sean.
That's a good point, bro.
These sort of sort of
And that's
thinking.
what it comes down to. So I think from the outside looking in, you know, people who are not educators, people who are far removed from being a student in the classroom, they ask this question: is American education getting better or is it getting worse? Even I want to bring it back to what you just mentioned earlier about being in the Northeast compared to being somewhere maybe out in the South, where there might be a lot of disgruntled educators because of just being treated unfairly, and then that comes from also parents, outside people who are just not a stakeholder in the education program at the moment, or people who don't really know the nuances of what's happening in the schools. I think if educators are treated just a lot more fair and a lot better, I think we should reframe that question. I think the question shouldn't be, is American education getting better or worse? I think the question should possibly be something along the lines of, is the American education under too much scrutiny?
Oh, Sean, mic drop. What is the question?
I
What is
think
it?
the question should be, is the American education under too much scrutiny?
Is the American education under too much scrutiny? We're going to end it right on there. Subscribe.
Subscribe, please.